Hey guys, this is Shannon and I am in my pantry. It has been quite a while since I've done a pantry tour video. I kept thinking I was going to get my pantry completely redone, all pretty and nice, and that is just never going to happen. Things just rotate too much. Life is just too busy for me to worry about trying to get my pantry pretty. You know, you see all those Pinterest pantries out there that look just phenomenal, and that's not me. So I thought I would just give you guys a realistic tour of what a working short-term and long-term pantry looks like, along with my other dry goods storage. I consider all of my dry goods to be like non-perishable. If it is not going to go bad because it does not need refrigeration, I consider it my dry storage. And because we live in a really small house, we don't have a ton of extra space. My long-term and my short-term are stored together, and I just rotate, and I'll kind of show you how I have that done. I'll do my fridges and freezers on a later video. It would just make it way too long to try and put everything together. So I will flip the camera around and show you guys my pantry. Okay guys, my pantry is right off the back door. This was actually the mudroom originally, one big room, and we put up a wall. And this actually used to be my son's room. It is tiny. And then as the kids moved out and they transitioned and switched rooms, I finally was able to have a pantry and a place for food storage. So a little sign above the door that says pantry, and in we go. I tried to not have too much cleaning stuff in here. I do have my mops and brooms and just a couple things that needed some tall vertical space to store, but on the whole, this is mainly just food and food related items. So when you come in, like I said, small space. This is right next to the door. That is right out into the mud room. At the top, this is all paper goods, you know, paper plates, tablecloths, things for parties, things like that. And party supplies, we tend to do a lot of parties in our family, and so I always keep a supply of that. This is all napkins, and then I keep egg crates on top, and then I use paper bags for recycling, and then there's just my little container that has knives, spoons, and forks my daughter got me for Christmas a couple years ago. Again, here is easily accessible paper plates. We hardly ever use paper goods, but sometimes if the guys are working out in the yard or something like that, it's just easier for me to throw things on a paper plate and take it out to them. And then I have lots of aluminum foil for freezer meals, and then these big ones are for like Christmas, Thanksgiving. I don't want to wash a ton of dishes at the holidays. I'm going to be doing enough cooking and on my feet that I'll put them in aluminum pans. Next down, this is what I kind of consider my baking shelf, and then peanut butter just kind of got tossed in there because I had nowhere else to go. So in my mind, this makes sense, but if somebody else walked in, they'd probably be like, this is all mixed up and confusing, but it works for me, and it's what fits in the space. So I have like my baking soda, my baking powder, my cornstarch, my thickeners. Back in the back, I have two big things of vanilla, and then baking cocos, peanut butter powder, other kinds of like Trim Healthy Mama stuff is back there. Needless to say, I'm not doing Trim Healthy Mama right now. I should be. So that's why it's kind of tucked in the back. And then I have peanut butter that is in two shelves, and then there's some other nut butters on this side that go all the way back. I have a fan in here just because it's really hot when I'm working in here. So that's just what I have hooked up for now. Next, this is kind of like my dairy section, and I have labels on the front of my bins. These are just Dollar Tree bins. They're kind of flimsy, but they work fine. You can throw extra cardboard in the bottom if you want to give them a little more support, but it works for me. In my front bin, I have evaporated milk and sweetened condensed milk, and then my back bin, I have coconut milk and almond milk. So the bins in the back are ones that I don't use as often. So I can just come right in here, and I do try and rotate and put the oldest stuff on the bottom. Yeah, it's kind of a pain to do it this way, but again, trying to make use of space, I can get a lot more cans in a container like this than in those stacking containers, and it was a heck of a lot cheaper to use these than to buy a bunch of those can racks. So next we have shelf stable milk, and this goes all the way to the back, and then behind it I have bags of dry milk, and I have one box of dry milk here. This is one that they actually subbed out for me. This is not what I ordered. This is not normally how I order it, but it's fine. I'll just put it in here. And then I have a couple of these big creamers, the big half and half. I make chai tea and hot cocoa and stuff with that, and it also is good for coffee in a pinch. We prefer regular half and half, but it works. And then I hit a deal on this nacho cheese. Whenever we open it, I'll probably recan it or freeze it. I have to look up exactly the best way to do it. I've read that you can recan, but most likely that is what I'll do. And then again, I hit another sale on the Augustin Farms for some cheese blend. So I have a couple of long-term, like 20+ years cheese back there, and then I have sour cream powder, butter, and heavy whipping cream. And I'm going to be actually making some room in my freezer, and these are going to get stored in the freezer because they will last longer. And then, kind of keeping with the cheese theme, I just have a shoe rack hanging right here on the side, and I zip tied some cardboard behind it to kind of give it a backing, and I have all kinds of cheese items and salsas, like salsa verde, things that wouldn't really have its own category. I don't have enough of enchilada sauce for it to have its own area, so I have it over here, kind of like Mexican type stuff, along with cheese sauces. And these are just packets. I have Parmesan cheese. I have more dairy stuff down here, like creamers for coffee. There's French vanilla. Again, those are for chai tea, or if you want to put it in your coffee. There is just some meltable cheese, and then this is some of my homemade cheese powder that I dehydrated cheese out and then vacuum packed it in a jar. And as this fills up, I'll probably end up having to move this somewhere else, but for now it works. It'll be a while before I get my stacks up this tall. Below the cheese, I have my regular vinegar, apple cider vinegars, let me squat down here, lemon juice, apple juice, all my juices, and then things like sparkling ciders, Perrier, sparkling waters, things like that are there. And I love these bottles because I can save the bottles and reuse them for extracts, things like that. So that's why I buy those when they're on clearance, because I can reuse all the bottles. They last forever. Below that, I have my cleaning vinegar over here. It has orange slices in it. I have water, and then these are just some like flavored waters. I like seltzer and flavored water to mix with little drink mixes, so it doesn't have all the sugar and calories, but you still have that kind of bubbly, because I'm just not a big fan of seltzer by itself or flavored water by itself. I want something added to it. And then these are all of my reusable bags. And then while I am down here over in this section, you'll see an interesting mix of stuff, mainly 2-liter bottles, but a couple of other larger containers. And this is how I am doing a lot of my dry bean storage, popcorn, if I have extra sugar, pasta, and then everything is labeled on top. It'll say when I put it into the jar, and I'm just stacking it up. If it's something like pasta or beans, then they have bay leaves in them, sugar, salt, that kind of thing. I'm just putting it in there and sealing it up really well. So that is kind of like a weird space over here. If you can see over here, it's kind of odd angles and stuff like that. So I can take advantage of these weird angles and still store stuff. So I'll have to unplug that soon because my outlet is going to get covered up and plug it in somewhere else. But for now, it works like this. So I have popcorn in the front here and then everything behind it, because these are just some glass containers I had and I didn't want to stack glass. So I'm just going to leave those right there for now. Now up along the top, I know this just looks like a hot mess up here, but I know everything that is up here. So, and then just for other people, not me as much, but if Chris needs to come and find something, then he can come up here and there's a little label that'll tell you what is in this section, and then there's another label that will tell you what is in this section. I do not get the items down from up here except a couple times a year, so I'm okay with them being all smushed up there because they don't take as much space that way, and I don't use them that often. So, and the things that I do use more often are at the front, like my food processor, the ice bucket, the popcorn maker, the triple crock pot, that kind of thing. It's closer to the front. I can grab it if I need it quickly, but everything else behind it, like the ice cream maker, we don't do it that often. Fondue sets, and these juicers, when I make orange juice, it's like every other year, and then I'll do like 60 gallons of it. So I don't use it that often. So going down a row, this is actually going to end up being all dried fruits, but it's kind of a mix of stuff right now. These are figs from our tree. I have dried cherries. I have dehydrated mushrooms, and then there's just a couple of MREs that I had. Oh, and I have peaches back there too, some dehydrated peaches and blueberries. So eventually this will be all dried fruit, but for now it's just kind of holding a mix of things. And then I have a massive cast iron pot to cook outside over a fire. Back there, it is huge, it is heavy, and it can stay right there. Next shelf down is all dehydrated vegetables. In the back are my larger containers, like of kale, corn, peas, green beans, sweet potatoes, carrots, and then I work my way up to the smaller containers. Some of them are mixed, like I had a little bit of carrots and a little bit of cabbage, so I just did cabbage and carrots together. A lot of my seasoning blend mixes, when I just had a little bit left over of something that wouldn't fit in a jar, it goes into the stew mix or the seasoning mix. Here's some homemade tomato powder, squash powder, cauliflower, broccoli, and then back in the corner are ones that I've actually purchased that are long-term food storage. So I can just keep stacking them up back there. I'll probably end up laying them on their sides so I can do 2 high and put them between the bars and start stacking that stuff over there for long term. And next row down is seasonings. So over back in this section, again, I have notes here so you can see what's there. And in my large containers, I have like barbecue, Old Bay, meat tenderizer, huge containers of onion powder, garlic powder, cinnamon, all that. So if I need it, I can just pull this bin out and get to it. Behind that is all salts and peppers. And then this is just miscellaneous seasonings that when I'm short on something in the pantry, I end up using something up. I can just come in here and grab a replacement, and I just randomly pick these up when I see them, if they're on sale or I know I'm getting low, and just throw them in here. The next row down is all of my drink mixes. These are all teas. Back behind it is big containers of instant tea. I have more large boxes of tea all behind these, and then these are more flavored teas, chaga, honey lemon, all kinds of seasoned teas, or seasonal teas, peppermint tea, that kind of thing. So all teas. These are the drink mixes that I mix in with my sparkling water or my seltzer. Then behind it is everything coffee related. We keep most of our coffee in the freezer, all the whole bean stuff, but if it's ground and I buy it on sale and clearance, it just goes in here along with the filters. Then this container here is hot chocolate and like mulling spices. And then way in the back is where I'm starting my long term of my powdered drink mixes. So that is that. And then we'll come up to starting my bins. Now, I love being able to just look and see what I have, but it just doesn't work that well. If I try and stack up cans, they fall over, and if I try and use these things, they just don't hold that much. So for the sake of space, again, I have lots of these bins. My front bin has seasoned tomatoes, rotel, that type of thing, and my back bin is all plain tomatoes. This one front is tomato paste, back is my pasta sauces, tomato sauces, Alfredo sauce, all kinds of sauces. And then this one in the back, I have baked beans, or I'm sorry, in the front I have baked beans, chili beans, pork and beans, that kind of thing. And in the back is just all kinds of canned beans. So yeah, it's a little bit of a pain to have to pull it out, but I know the kinds of beans we normally have that we would use to throw in like chili or something like that, so I know what we have. Next is vegetables. In the front I have peas, corn, and green beans in this bin, and in the back I have pumpkin, mixed vegetables, carrots, and sweet potatoes. And then these bins right here, these little rolly things, this is cream of chicken, this is cream of mushroom, cream of celery, and then these two are just different kinds of soups. We don't eat tons and tons of soup. Occasionally we want some tomato soup or something like that, clam chowder, and most of my soups I make from scratch, like pumpkin sausage or something like that. So we don't buy too many, but I am going to stock up some more to put in for our storage. Next is, this is another kind of miscellaneous bin. Pickles, peppers, olives, beets, peanuts. You know, I have things like my grape leaves in here. I have relish. This is for Mississippi chicken. You know, these are for casseroles and things like that. So it's just a mix of stuff. I know what's in here, and it's easily accessible. Now we're getting down into the meats. My front, I have sardines, tuna, clams, and salmon. And the back, I have chicken. And you can just look in here. I kind of have it sectioned out. And then this one, the front, I have my canned meats. I have roast beef, ham, Spam, and luncheon meat, and back is beef. I have like the Chef Boyardee, like SpaghettiOs and meatballs, lasagna, pastas. I have big containers of stew, and then corned beef hash. So again, you can just see how I have them stacked up in here. Easy to get to. These are more for convenience sake here, because Chris sometimes likes to take snacky stuff in his lunch. So I have like tuna packets here, and I need to fill this up a little bit more. Just all different kinds of like quick on-the-go tuna packets. This is potted ham in the back. Chris sometimes likes crackers and ham, or there's pepperoni, there's salami, there's Spam, just quick individual type things. And then this is, I don't like this stuff, but it's like potted meat. There's dried beef, and there's Vienna fingers, Vienna sausages. I don't consider that really real food, but there are members of the family that like it, and it lasts forever, so we may as well have some. Next section down is my canned fruit. So this one is all canned fruit and pie filling and cranberry sauce. I have dried fruit and nuts in here, and then I have big things of raisins in here. I bought, I don't know, like a 20-pound box, I want to say, and then I have them all sectioned out and then saved into another container. Now when you get down to the very bottom section, you start seeing buckets down here, and there's stuff stored on tops of the buckets just to save space. But if you look right here, there is a little label. So on the back row, I have a 25-pound container of salt in a bucket, and then 2 in a row of cracked black beans. And then the front, I have a big thing of dog food. This one is mixed beans, and then another container underneath this little stool, this little booster seat, of cracked black beans. And then under here, this isn't going to stay. I just have a couple of crates that have miscellaneous items in it. This is kind of like just junk stuff that I had nowhere to put. It didn't fit a category, so it's there. And then under here is our camping stuff. All of these red lids are labeled, and I take these camping. It has like sugar, flour, salt, that kind of thing in it. And then these are just containers that haven't gone, this is new items that haven't gone into containers yet. Same with these. They subbed out my grits for 5-minute grits, and I've never tried to store long-term 5-minute grits. It'd probably be fine, but I think I'm going to add that into some 2-liter bottles and put over here to not mix up my grits. And then coming over to this section, it's a mess, but I'm constantly pulling them down, is all of my empty mason jars. Mason jars are in very short supply. I'd actually ordered some on my Walmart order that I had, and none of them, when I went to pick up my order, they had none available. So that is all that I have in empty jars right now, and not all of those are full. There's just a mess over there. Chris is gonna build me some shelves where I can stack stuff up, but empty boxes and miscellaneous things that are too tall to put anywhere, just tossed on top of the hot water heater right now. This is where I put all of my pasta that I'm waiting to go into 2-liter bottles. So we just don't go through that many 2 liters. So as I buy pasta, I'll buy a couple of the same kind so that it'll fill up the bottles with the same kind of pasta, and I'll just stack it here, and then once it's full and I have a couple of empty bottles, I can just fill them up. This is other pasta that we're gonna eat and not store, just different kinds. These are dried potatoes here. This one's open, the others are not, but they are probably gonna get vacuum sealed, I think. I don't think I'm gonna leave them like this. I want to vacuum seal them. And then this is just our everyday, working food items, so that I'm not opening any large containers of rice, pasta, stuffing, macaroni and cheese, that kind of thing. So that is all up here. And then next, these are all baking goods. I hit lots of stuff on clearance. I tend to buy plain things, like plain cake mixes, unless something is on sale, and then I'll pick something up. I have chocolate, vanilla, classic yellow, frostings, and then a couple of things back in the back, like individual, perfect for one cup things when I see them on sale. These are all bread related and some pie crust. I've never actually made a Jiffy pie crust, but they had them for like 47 cents at our store, so I figured, what the heck, I'll pick up a couple, throw them up here. And then these are all syrups, molasses, honey, maple syrup, regular syrup, just corn syrup, all that are there. And then these are all coconut oils. I have big containers of coconut oil up here, and then others up in the front by date, so we use them up. And then these are all oils. I have oils all the way back. Next section down is condiments. This is all kinds of mayo, a mayo type thing, ketchup, barbecue sauce, miscellaneous dressings, ranch, and then our miscellaneous condiments, which are hot sauces, mustards, dipping sauces, that kind of thing. And then down again, this is kind of like a miscellaneous section. In this back here, I have a whole bunch of marshmallows for baking and the holidays, and hopefully one day it'll be cold again, because it's currently 94 outside and we're almost at November. But we'll be able to do things like hot chocolate. This was on sale for a good deal. I think it was like $11 on Amazon. I went ahead and picked that up, and then just some like baking mix. Ramen noodles, yeah, they're not good for you, but they last forever. And then this is cereal. We all love cereal in the family, and so when I find them on clearance, I'll get them, I'll vacuum seal them and throw them in there so that they'll last and still stay crunchy. Down here we have more buckets. Again, I have my card here. So I have a couple of white rice, both of those are white rice, and then another container of white rice there. That's mixed bags of rice. And then I have wheat berries back behind the rice. I have oatmeal here and mixed bags of flour back there. And then I just have little containers. Chris and I went to Sam's a couple months ago, and we picked up some big boxes of like chips and granola bars and Belvita bars, and I just have them sitting in little containers to work our way through them. a shelf Chris is going to install me in here somewhere. I'm not quite sure where yet. And then over here we have 2 big containers of all-purpose flour. And then let's see, I have confectioner's sugar, brown sugar, and then bags of sweeteners and dehydrated honey. And then both of these are sugar. And then when I have any extra sugar that doesn't fit, I put it in here because it's easier to refill my canisters in the kitchen with a gallon jug than it is to have to, I can just take this in there, refill the canisters and bring it back. And then that is full of grits. Stuff for outdoor camping over there, for cooking outside, tripods, you know, that go over the fire, that kind of thing. And then we start in my home canned goods, all of my canned beans. And then I have all of my canned stocks. And then my tomato products. I have just like canned tomatoes, salsas, okra and tomatoes. I have canned corn, carrots. This is canned bacon, canned ham. This is ham and beans. And then up here, this is cider sauce, applesauce, pineapple, peaches, pears, figs, grape juice. And then up top is all of the jams, jellies, spiced tomato preserves, strawberry jam, apple jelly, and then pickles. So we don't use those as often, so they go up higher. And then over here, again, I have bunches of empty bottles waiting for extracts and stuff to go in them. And then all of my cookbooks and homestead books and gardening books, preserving books, that kind of thing are all in here. I love cookbooks, but I think I'm calling it quits. No more cookbooks because I am overflowing and running out of space. This is actually a bookcase that I flipped upside down because I wanted to use the legs to hold aprons, and I wanted kind of a recessed area so the bottles wouldn't fall over. So it's just sitting on a little shelf right here, but by flipping it upside down, it fit right there and we could make good use of space. This little 3-drawer container holds a lot of my canning supplies. And then we have trash bags, big rolls. I buy lots of trash bags, so they're easy to get. And then behind the door, all of these are big drink containers. Again, we have large gatherings, large parties here. And so I put out a bunch of different drinks. I'll do tea and water and lemonade and all that. Ziploc bags, all of my foils, wraps. I need more. I really want to go to Sam's or Costco and get some more of these big ones. You just get more bang for your buck. And then here are snacks, pretzels, goldfish, crackers, mints that have all been vacuum sealed. And then more canning, jelly making type stuff. These are my lids so that I can vacuum seal. And then that is my food saver, and it is full of food saver bags that I just have keep the box and throw my bags in there for storage. And then on the back is just miscellaneous items. Tapioca, breadcrumbs, the Knorr veggie mix, potatoes, these little potato stick things. Chris likes those. Side dishes. I hardly ever use that kind of stuff, but it's good to have. These are a bunch of soups that I had picked up on clearance. I want to say for like $1.79 to $2 when they were going on. A local business was closing their store, so I picked all those up. Pastaroni, rice-a-roni, that kind of thing. So that is all on the back of the door. There is a lot of stuff smushed into this little space. I will take you now to our bathroom. Okay, this is the linen closet in our bathroom, and right now the bottom of it is empty because Chris has got to do some plumbing, and he's already cut a hole out over here, and he's got to cut a bigger hole. So normally there are big bins here in the bottom that have all of our blankets and linens and things like that. So those are all out right now. But above it is, again, these Dollar Tree bins. They just work so well. I have over here is all peroxides and alcohols, betadine, that kind of thing. I just keep adding to my stash. And then this is all vitals and first aid. I have a bag marked vitals, and when you pull this out, it's everything you need to check vitals. There is a thermometer, there is a pulse oximeter, there's blood pressure cuff, there's alcohol and wipes in there to wipe everything down. There's a stethoscope, just everything basic to check vitals. And then there is wound care in there, bandages, you know, just containers of everything you would need basic first aid. I have another container up here, or let me think, yeah, on this side, that has more in-depth first aid stuff, but just for basic stuff is here. This whole container is just soaps, shampoos, and conditioners. So I have some bags of just bar soap that is out of, they're not in boxes, so they're just in Ziplocs. And then I have soaps and shampoos down there. And then there is just stacks all the way to the top of boxes of soap. And then this is cold and asthma section. I have my nebulizer down in the bottom because I don't need it very often. And then all kinds of cold medicine and things you need for colds, and then everything I would need if I am having a bad asthma issue, albuterol and nebulizers and all that. This is our travel bin. I have our little blue bags that are ready to go. We just have to grab. They're fully stocked and packed and ready to go. And then I have all kinds of extra travel stuff in here. Shampoos, conditioners, just little mini things that we would need when we travel. And then this is all girl stuff in here, all pads and tampons. This is dental. It has toothpaste, toothbrushes, floss, picks, pain meds, everything in there. And way over here in the corner is hair stuff, because honestly, I can't tell you the last time I blew my hair dry or used a curling iron. So it just kind of stays over here in the corner full, but I just can't get rid of it because, you know, every now and then I drag it out. And then I have vaporizers, hot and cold, and then seldom used first aid, catheters, that kind of thing, IV supplies, all that is up here. And then in these little plastic bins, I have Q-tips, cotton balls, I have a sewing bin. It should be bigger, but I am not a very good seamstress, so that works for me right now. I even have a sewing machine, which I've never taken out of the box. Chris is actually better at sewing than I am. I have a big thing of face masks, and then sanitizer and supplies to make sanitizer. So there's a bunch of things of sanitizer in there, and then all the different things I need to make homemade sanitizer. And then I have deodorant and razors together. I have bug sprays, I have sunscreens, and then way up in the top I have lotions. And then eyes, ears, lips, and feet. I know feet doesn't really go in there, but you know, I just needed a place for it. So, and it wasn't full. So all kinds of stuff you need for your eyes, your ears, face creams, and then pain relief, muscle head, like the gels, the rubs, that kind of thing. I have heating pads, knee braces, and that kind of thing. The plantar fasciitis, the brace for that is in there. Extra prescription meds and supplements that we're not using right now, and then stuff for my dad whenever he's here. So that is our linen closet. We are back in my kitchen. I probably should have given you this tour to kind of follow along with the food, but oh well, we're just kind of going in order from room to room. So this is what I consider my working pantry, I guess you would call it. I have all of my gravy and seasonings here. I have soup mix and bouillons and things like that here. Jellos and puddings, usually use those in baking. I have dried veggies and salad toppings, croutons, you know, that kind of stuff there. This is dried fruit. I guess I need some new signs. They're looking pretty sad. But anything we want to bake with, raisins, cranberries, dried coconut. Baking fruit, that's really for when I do like Cuban pastries, you know, like the guava paste and that kind of thing is more that. And then this whole bin up there is chocolate chips and baking chocolate. My label is missing, but I know what's there. So that is what all this is. You have to excuse Chris, he's in there watching, I think Wrangler Star right now, getting a little loud. And then up here I have like dried apples, I have rice, I have panko, polenta, some dried figs, just miscellaneous things. I have oatmeal, barley, breadcrumbs, some pasta. This is stuff that I just regularly work out of, and then I refill from my stores in the other room. I have teas. Whenever I have a little bit of pasta in a box or something that I don't cook with, and then I just throw it in here, so the next time I want to make something with pasta, I just have enough. And then, let me think, oh, I have the tea bags that already pre-sweetened, so you just have to drop them into boiling water, and then homemade chai tea here, regular tea bags, some breakfast essentials, and this stuff is really good for you, Vital Reds. It is not cheap, but it is really good for you. And then I have some marshmallows and instant coffee and stuff back there. This cabinet is usually our messiest cabinet because it is forever changing. So of course you have to have a bin marked miscellaneous when nothing else fits. There's ice cream cones and some pineapple fruit and some pasta and who knows what else is up there. Some low carb stuff, beef jerky, pork rinds, popcorn and nuts, all kinds of crackers, and then individual snacks. The last time Chris and I went camping, I think there's probably some more brownies left over and Swiss cake rolls and Belvita bars and just individually wrapped snack items. Cereal, some veggie straws, those are some pita chips, bread. Here is a bunch of my homemade fruit roll-ups. I will link the video on how I do those using preserves, old preserves. Tortillas, some more bread, some more cereal, so oatmeal. I think this is some pancake mixes, chips, just miscellaneous. This cabinet is always forever changing. Okay, this is my bin next to the stove. Up at the top is all kinds of syrups, vinegars, cider, apple cider vinegar, coffee syrups, maple syrup, cane syrup, all kinds of stuff like that. Infused oils like olive oil, just a mixture, Tuscan herb, olive oil, malt vinegar, you name it, it's up there. Next I have like peanut butter powders, I have honey powder. I threw a candle up here to get it off my counter. And then I have Swerve, molasses, miscellaneous other things, garlic, balsamic vinegar. This just smaller containers that would fit on this shelf. And then I have my raw sugar, brown sugar, white sugar, honey, Splenda, monk's fruit. This is half and half, you know, like creamer for your coffee, Splenda brown sugar. So that is this cabinet. I use these two probably the most, and then down here I keep my butter, and then there's like olive oil. I just reuse that, refill it from the pantry. Salt and pepper, my vanilla extract, I just refill that from my homemade vanilla. There's some ghee and just other miscellaneous things there. This is my baking cabinet. It is right above my microwave. So up in this corner is all kinds of stuff that I would need for cake decorating or cookies, sprinkles, food coloring, candles, that kind of thing. I have a couple of bins of it. I have gravies and thickeners, yeast, baking powder, extracts, cocoa, xanthan gum, and shortening. And then down here I just have mason jars full of all the things I use often. Cornstarch, baking soda, this is confection sugar, chia seeds, I have coconut. It goes way back. I have multiple rows. I think I have 3 rows. Potato flakes, unsweetened coconut, almond flour, flax, organic spelt, just all kinds of stuff I would use for baking. Okay, this is the last food type area in the kitchen. Yes, it is a mess. It always stays a mess. I've tried organizing it and it just doesn't work. So I've pretty much given up. I just know what's in here and move stuff around whenever I need it. Up at the top is my extra salts, peppers that I refill my containers with, that are just easily accessible. I have a lot of extracts and essential oils, and then items that I don't use very often. There's a big thing of peppercorns, there's some Old Bay, toothpicks, that kind of thing. Just miscellaneous seasonings up there that I don't use on a regular basis. This little shelf here in the middle is all I consider my sweet seasonings, things like cinnamon, ginger, nutmeg, cloves, cinnamon sugar mixes, things like that, things that I'd use for baking, for sweet things mainly, cinnamon sticks. And then down here is the rest of my seasonings. Of course, garlic, onion, everything bagel seasoning, cumin, my homemade taco powder. There's some ground flax, rosemary, za'atar seasoning, absolutely. So just a mixture of all kinds of stuff in here, but these are all more savory type seasonings. This is the last, what I consider dry storage in the house. Can move this back so you can see. Chris is gonna build me some dividers because right now I just have cardboard in here and they are not working very well. But this is toilet paper, paper towels, and then I have wet wipes in the back and facial tissue there, and it goes all the way up to the ceiling. And then I just have my cleaners. I have a bar right there so that I can hang some along the back. And then just all of my basic everyday cleaners, and then extras of like hand soap, dish soap. This little container here that holds bags. I have all of my spray, like Lysol, antibacterial type sprays. I need to pick up more of these. These are just bleach tabs, but they have a longer shelf life. Again, I have a shoe rack over here that has items that I regularly use. And then we have gloves for everyone in the family. And then this is all floor stuff, Swiffers, that kind of thing. Vacuum bags. These are all cleaning cloths and the little things to do the blinds. This one is empty. That is all kitchen stuff, SOS sponges. We have a container of miscellaneous, all kinds of batteries, light bulbs, iron. I have this marked as tools, but it's just things that I personally use around the house. Extension cords, little small screwdriver sets, what I consider my tools, zip ties, that kind of thing. And then Chris is going to actually take this rail out for me so that I can do another row of bins, because I can just hold more stuff that way. But there are some air fresheners and carpet fresh and some moisture absorbers, that kind of thing, all down here. In the bottom is some spray paint, big things of wasp spray, dish tabs, there's a couple of those, Windex, moisture absorb, more large containers of cleaner, and then a big gallon of hand sanitizer to do refills. So that is it. This is all of our dry storage in the house. All right, guys, so that is it. That is what all of my dry goods are in our house, from cleaning supplies to our toilet paper to our short-term to our long-term food storage. I haven't actually done an inventory. That's something I need to do. It's just things change so much that it is really hard to try and keep an accurate number. So I think the way I'm going to handle it is I'm going to do inventories on our long-term shelf stable foods. Something like the Augustin Farms, something like this, or Thrive, or something that is in an unopened container, not something that I packaged myself, but something that is in an unopened container that has a 20+ year shelf life. I think that is what I'm actually going to inventory. And if it is just rotating stock, I'm not going to try and inventory that. I think it is just too much and too hard to try and keep up with, but it is a good idea to know what we have for a long term. My end goals for long term is to, one, get more of the 20 to 30 year shelf life foods, some dehydrated and freeze dried meats, because that's not something I have. I have a lot of canned meats. We'll have a cow butchered and a pig butchered this next month, so that will be filling up the fridges and freezers. And once I get the fridges and freezers all moved around and stuff, then I'll take you on a tour of that once they're kind of organized a little bit, because I know things are going to end up being shuffled around. But mainly for me, that is where I'm at. I'm going to get more wheat berries because those have a very long life. As well as the freeze dried and the canned food items that are 20 to 30 years. I do want to get some more things like the MREs, but for the cost of things like this, I feel like I could get a larger quantity of individual items. So I may get a few more of those just to have, just in case. But on the whole, I want more long-term shelf-stable food. Now, you may wonder why do you have so much stuff? Your kids are moved out, they're in college, they're living their own life, they're doing their own thing, and it's because we have kids that have moved out, they're doing their own thing. They're in their 20s, they still don't get it, they're still young. We have lots of family that is elderly. My dad is stage 4 Parkinson's. My mom takes care of him. They don't prep like this. I don't think anyone in Chris's family preps like this. We have lots of neighbors. So even if we don't use everything that we have, if something happens, there's going to be so many people around us that will need that. I want to make sure that we are prepared. Times are uncertain right now, and more things in the grocery stores are not available. So as our budget allows, I'm stocking up. And if it's something that is good for 30 years, I don't have to worry about it going bad. And if we need it, we need it. If we don't, we don't. You know, when's the last time you went into a 20-year-old's house and looked in their pantry and saw what they actually had stocked up? My daughter sent me a picture of her fridge the other day, and it was like a quarter full, and she's like, look, I went grocery shopping. And I'm like, yay. You know, but they're not stocked. They don't know, they don't get it. You know, they're living paycheck to paycheck, and that's just the way it is in life. So if we have the ability to stock up and to be prepared and to help others, then that's what we're going to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. I'm sure it was probably kind of lengthy, but we are covered. We are set that if we could not leave our house for months, that we're okay. You know, we have a well, we have generators, we have all of that kind of stuff. I will link the video. I think I have one on hurricane preparedness that kind of shows you that part of our life, at that aspect. We have a Berkey on its way, and Chris is going to be installing that. So he's going to build me a corner cabinet, a little shelf for it, so it's kind of up out of the way and easily accessible. So we're good. We just need to stay healthy and take care of our friends and family and be able to work every day. So, all right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any comments, please leave them down below. If there's anything I'm missing out of my stockpile, then absolutely please bring it to my attention. It's always good to know. And don't forget to give me a thumbs up and follow the channel if you'd like to see more videos like this. All right, guys, have a great day.